So the journey that's the fun part, you know. So at this point, the decision has been made to get the car. Both the buyer and the seller have agreed on everything they need to agree on, and the excitement starts to build. Like, hey, all right, I get to go pick up the car. So I was going to fly out and drive the car back, and that required me to take time off of work. It required me to get a bus pass so that I could get a bus ride to the airport because there wouldn't be anyone to take me. And also I needed to arrange a means to get to the bus stop. So ride to the bus stop, bus to the airport, airport fly to the city to go pick up the car. Then I had to arrange a place to stay. Fortunately for me, Mrs. H is a wonderful host and said that she would put me up for a couple nights. My first surprise moment of the trip was after I had arranged all the transportation. I'm literally sitting on the bus, waiting to go to the airport, and I look out the window and I see my wife walking past. And I thought, well, okay, that's really nice. She wanted to say goodbye in person, and it's really sweet. And she walks up on the bus and says, "Hey, you forgot your drink on the counter." And I had forgotten a half-drunk bottle of pop. And I said, "Thanks. Why do you have a bag with you?" And she's like, "I'm coming along." So I was quite surprised, quite happy that I wasn't going to go all by myself. And you know, travel partner is always a lot more fun, and having two people drive back when you've got 700 miles to cover in a day is usually a pretty good idea as well. So that was definitely the biggest surprise of the trip. The first time I drove the S2000 was the day after we arrived, and it was in the morning. And Mrs. H said, "Do you want to take it for a drive?" And I thought it was a good idea. And my wife was interested to see what the car was like as well. So I hopped in, fired it up, and I didn't have a GPS. I had no idea where I was in relation to, you know, the town and where streets went. It's, you know, more of a city, and I was pretty nervous about getting lost and being able to find our way back home. So it was a bit of an anticlimactic first drive. We literally went down the street, and the speed limit was only 35 miles an hour. We passed a cop, so I didn't really want to get into the throttle too much. And we just drove down the road, and you know, you just do the typical things when you're driving a car. Make sure it doesn't pull to one way, the brakes don't vibrate. You know, everything seems to be in order. And turned around, noticed the car had only a third tank of gas in it, so we knew we would be driving it home the next day, so we got gas. The drive back was uneventful, fortunately for me, aside from a semi-truck shredding a tire in front of us, and I was dodging rubber shrapnel. The wife was able to drive. She may have drove at least half, maybe even a little more than halfway of the trip, the 700-mile trip. And she enjoyed the car herself. She said that the car sounds pretty, which I think is a seal of approval. The time seemed to go by fast. As a side note, we were getting 29 miles to the gallon, which at freeway speeds I think is pretty phenomenal. And we actually got to drive with the top down for a number of hours. So we were really happy about that as well. The hype around the S2000, I think, centers around, you know, the performance of the car, how it drives, you know, how the engine, you know, redlines an obscene number, and you know, how it goes down the road. I would say yes, it does. I think it is a very high quality vehicle that the performance of the engine, the performance of the suspension, the gearbox, you know, when they say it's a fantastic gearbox, it is. It lived up to my hype. It fills all the boxes that I wanted in the purchase of this car, and makes me happy to drive. Her favorite thing about the car was third gear.
Okay.
So I was trying to get third gear as a plate, which is
Okay.
3RD and then gear. But it wouldn't, the computer wouldn't allow it because of the numbering and the lettering and whatever. So I tried 3TD gear, which didn't work out very well. Or no, TRD gear, which may have